This issue was not up for debate during the early church patristic age. Clement, that's a patristic name, critiquing the popular acceptance, sound familiar, of nudity in the Greco-Roman art of cosmopolitan Alexandria in the late 2nd century, states, "Of what are your other pictures? Small pans? Naked girls, drunken satyrs, and various and sundry other things, all painted naked in pictures disgraceful for filthiness. And more than this, you're not ashamed in the eyes of all to look at representations of all forms of licentiousness that are portrayed in public places. Rather, you set them up and guard them with scrupulous care." Sound contemporary enough? Here's another early church father, chronicling and reflecting on the immodesties of theater, public festivities, and art in his day, which was considered redemptive by the pagans. Augustine, or Augustine if you live in Florida, Riley observes, "If this is purification, then what is pollution?" He actually had a Jersey accent. I know in Northern Africa, they still had a little bit of a Jersey thing going on. Those are the early church fathers, their comments about nudity. I wonder what they might say to the Christian university professors who are teaching our kids that nudity outside of the bedroom or necessity can be redemptive. Let's fast forward now to the Middle Ages. You have undoubtedly seen some of the art that was produced from the church in the Middle Ages. Let's take a little look at the backdrop to the naked art of the Middle Ages. From Mr. Van Dudeword, in terms of broad acceptance within the life of the church, nakedness in art first blossomed as a result of, what do you know, the Italian Renaissance, a movement that drew heavily on the revival of Greco-Roman paganism. The new Platonic movement. We're bringing Greek into the church, and that's why you see this, well, this syncretism really between church and Greece. Nudity, the perfect form, the human body in the church. What does Athens have to do with Jerusalem? The artists, in large part through Medici patronage and influence, and an enthusiastic upper class, shocker, brought nudity in art boldly into public life, including the life of the Roman Church. The art both reflected and contributed to a promiscuous culture indeed. Savonarola, he was killed for his troubles. His moral thunderings against a pornographic culture deeply irritated the Bohemian Medici. Savonarola probably considered the first reformer ever. He was a Roman Catholic monk who was disgusted by what he saw coming out of Rome and the church. I'm paraphrasing, especially since it was probably in Latin or Italian. He said, when the doors of Rome are opened up, when people see what is inside of there, such a stench will come pouring out. It'll contaminate the world. To what was he referring? Nudity, licentiousness, nakedness, and he called out the Medici, the people who were funding this art, and he decried it, and he said to the church, this should not be inside of God's church. There's another reformer who wasn't nuts about nudity and nakedness in the public square. Maybe you've heard the name Martin Luther. Here's what he had to say about the subject. Martin Luther was disheartened and disillusioned a generation after Savonarola by Rome's rampant immorality. Italian church culture was by this point awash with the unabashed nudity of new, stunning, works of art, in good part due to the patronage of the Medici Pope Leo the X. Nudity verboten from the German. And he's German, and he said, "Nein."